on there, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's our weekly live stream. We talk about news, current events, um, you know, have a genuine forum for discussing ideas, and of course our movie review. To remind you all, this month's theme is Hollywood couples. So the movies that we'll be reviewing this month. They all star and feature actual Hollywood couples.
That's right.
At the time of their filming or production. With me, as ever, is the homeboy Rob.
Yo, what's going on, everybody?
Yeah, lots of stuff to talk about. We delving a little bit into supply chain issues, specifically relating to the supposed egg shortage. And then also we'll be discussing the Super Bowl. Not necessarily the game, of course, because I'm not that into sports. But we'll be talking generally about the event that is the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We'll things we like, things we didn't like. Criticisms. Kudos, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and we got our like I said, the movie review. We're gonna do Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, the 1967 classic, starring Katharine Hepburn, Spencer Tracy, Sidney Poitier. It's really excited to talk
your
about.
white supremacy is showing, Robert. You didn't give the black guy top billing.
Well, he wasn't top billed. Spencer Tracy was top billed. What do you want me to do?
How dare you? How dare you?
And less people forget, this is a Spencer Tracy movie, not a Sidney Poitier movie.
Yeah, but in the subsequent years, he does get that top billing, because he was like, it's lauded as such a huge cultural milestone. Not just cinema, but then also culturally.
I don't know. I watched the credits, and Sidney Poitier was third billed.
I know. I get it. At the time this movie came out, yeah, Spencer Tracy got top billing.
And Sidney Poitier was top billed in two other films that came out that year, In the Heat of the Night and I think To Sir with Love.
Right, but who the hell talks about those movies?
In the Heat of the Night is one of the greatest.
I know. It's a great movie, and it spawned a TV spinoff,
which was also really good.
Yeah. And I know I'm just making having a little bit of fun.
Are you trying to rile me up? Is that what's
exactly? This is the Michael Jackson thing all over again.
not quite as upsetting as.
Not quite as upsetting, but within that same vein.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, but no, I'm really excited to talk about the movie. I probably have some interesting takes on it, but like I said, it's not a knock on the film because I actually really like this film a lot. But it's the way the characters that are in there, some of the decisions that they make. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get a lot of flack for that and told I'm a whitey or something. Who knows?
Oh, well, we'll see. I mean, I don't think there's anything really. I don't know if you have anything new to report or.
No, not really. Just
if not, then maybe we could just get.
Oh, we can hop right. To be honest, there's nothing really new that happened to me this week, so.
Right. Okay.
Nothing exciting.
For sure. Well, although one thing happened, and it was really fat. It was really quick in passing, and but I do want to bring it up because it's funny because I chuckle at it. I chuckle about it now. I mean, maybe a couple of years ago, I would have been incensed, but my mother recently my contracted a cold, and it's a regular cold. She
Right,
COVID
right.
tested and whatever, and so it's not that. It's a regular, run of the mill cold, and so like my mom's like she's got a cough and she's hacking up a lung, you know, and I don't remember exactly what um my I was with my parents. I was with my sister, and I don't remember exactly what was said, but I think my mom said something about a mask, and then my sister said, it's like, oh, it's only sick people that need the mask, and I and
Oh, cool.
and I couldn't help but again, like I was saying, a couple years ago, I would have just like lost my shit and be like, and just went off on my sister about like, oh, you were the one who's going nuts about masks and whatever. But now, like, it's like, if it's true now, then it was true like 2 years ago, 3 years
Exactly.
ago. Okay, it's not some like new information that we discovered about, oh, how masks are really only for sick people. This has been the case, and I will stake our reputation. I mean, okay, I'll stake my reputation on it. But I think Robert, you would too. But we were the first one, like at the very beginning, we were the ones talking about masks, and how like a lot of times people would point to Asian countries like China, Japan, Korea, and how like, oh, well, they wear masks too, and we rightly pointed out that they have a culture of that, but it's only for people who are sick or who feel that they are sick, and that
Yeah,
it was a courtesy thing.
right.
And now that now that my sister comes out and says like the most obvious thing in the world, it's like I'm beyond the anger part. I just kind of like
You just, you know,
I just kind of smile to myself, because like my sister, because I mean, I don't mean to badmouth my sister. I love my sister, but she bought into all of like the fear porn basically
yeah.
surrounding Corona and things like that. And yeah, I was like, when I heard my sister say that, I just like I just smiled, I was, and I was like, I wasn't angry, I wasn't like, I wasn't seething with righteous indignation. I just kind of chuckled at I just chuckled to myself, and it's just like, okay, that, well, kind of like the refrain that we usually have here, quoting the great, John McClane, "Welcome to the party, pal."
Yeah, exactly. That line will always be relevant because
Right.
it's like finally you figured it out.
Hmm.
Like,
Yes, and I'm happy, and here's and this we'll get into a little bit of this when we talk about the Super Bowl. But it's like all these people who want to declare a COVID amnesty, or a
go
truce,
to hell.
and it's like, okay, but are you now admitting that that you erred as well? Like that you had a part in the whole, like the feud, the war, as it were. Right,
Well,
this.
no, but we should really,
Yeah,
just
but we
not
should
so.
forgive each other. It's like, but forgive each other for what? Like, I'm ready to hear what you think that you're forgiving me for, but I want you to tell me what I'm forgiving you for.
Yeah, exactly. It's honestly most, especially like when it comes to some of our, people that are within government who are involved with a lot of this stuff, who we're clearly making a lot of like these weird backroom deals. And I mean, we talked about like these pharmaceutical companies that are essentially trying to create these stronger strains. They're doing like the Mission Impossible 2 bad guy routine, like where they're trying to create like these super viruses while also creating the cure, releasing the strain of the disease out into the public so that they can sell the cure for billions of dollars. It's like all those people should be, if not, assassinated, they should be like, in prison.
Right. Oh, and also, yeah, today when I was having my accountability group meeting, uh, we were reading, we read Proverbs, and
Mhm.
today we went and read Proverbs 28. But the first verse of Proverbs 28 is, hold on one second. One second. Okay. The wicked flee when no one pursues.
Yeah,
All right. So right now, like all those people who are calling you, domestic terrorists for not wearing a mask, or Hitler 2.0 if you didn't get the jab, they are now running. They are
yeah.
now
And it's like,
fleeing.
well, I never
But
said
get
that.
but yeah, but guess what? We're not pursuing you. Okay, in the same fashion that people on our side who are a little bit more skeptical, who are a little bit more like, hey, you know what, maybe this isn't so bad. Hey, we're seeing these numbers and they're not quite adding up. Maybe we could apply the brake a bit. You know,
Yeah,
but and so we're not pursuing them at all in the same fashion that they pursued us.
exactly. It's just, oh man.
So yeah, it was a little bit of providence, coming upon that specific chapter of Proverbs, and that being the very first verse in that chapter. The wicked flee when no one pursues. Yeah, we're not pursuing you. All
No,
right, we're not going to pursue you, and we're not gonna try, and we're not gonna prosecute you the way that you prosecuted us.
yeah, that is true. It's just never gonna happen.
Yeah. So for those of you out there, like, look, constantly looking over your shoulders or whatever, it's like, it's fine. I'm not gonna come up behind you and it's like and hound you about, hey, like, you vaxxed hard, like, you're the one, so you got the vax, now you're gonna die, and I'm just gonna laugh like, no. No,
Throwing
I mean,
their,
that's like,
their
and
stuff
that's
there.
absurd, because both you and I both know people who got it. I think, Robbie, you got it, right?
Yeah, I kind of had to,
Right.
unfortunately.
But yeah, we're not gonna go and, like, laugh at people's faces, if they happen to have a mysterious cardiac event, or develop a
No,
certain
of course not.
a certain heart condition. No, we're not gonna laugh at you. We're not gonna make you feel stupid. And, like, wish for your deaths. Not unlike how some people who were calling other people who were didn't get certain a vaccine of certain of current significance. That's retarded. It's like that you're saying that I'm wishing for my parents' death. I'm wishing for my aunts and uncles to die because they got it. 'Cause, some of my aunts and uncles did get it. So my parents definitely both got it. So you're saying
Yeah,
that I'm wishing for my parents to die?
no,
Of course not. Obviously not.
but yeah,
So
you're right. They're not. We're not pursuing that side as doggedly as we were pursued for just asking questions and like, wait, that doesn't sound right. Like, let's stop and think about this for a second. We just give carte blanche to supposed experts. Oh, he's been in this field for 40 years. That doesn't mean he knows anything, though. That's the thing. Like, what you look at a
right,
guy like
or
Dr.
like, what was he? Yeah, like, yeah. Say, like, yeah. Like, I know. I think we all know who we're talking about, but I'm just not gonna name him. Yeah, he's been in this specific field for decades. But what was he saying just like 6 years ago?
Yeah. What have been his accomplishments? Like
Yeah,
what
what are his fruits? What are his fruits? Is there a certain demographic that despise him with a passion of 1,000 suns?
yeah, right.
You
Yeah,
know,
exactly. It's like
did this person market a failed cancer treatment for for as treatment for another alleged virus? A failed cancer drug.
well, I mean, in the course of like medical history, though, like there's been stuff where they've been working on one thing. And it's like, well, it didn't quite work there, but
Right,
they kind of figured out by
yeah,
accident it cured something else. And it's like,
right. But
oh,
there was no evidence that that the the drug I'm talking about
no,
did
like
anything
yeah,
for AIDS.
yeah. Well, like I said, in this case, no, it did not. It didn't do anything, and in fact, it didn't become this super overblown thing. I mean, it's still out there. Obviously, there's still people that have HIV and AIDS and stuff like that, but it's not like this full blown. In fact, now they have uh, had Dr. Fauci just stepped out of the way and allowed people to kind of like do the research. Now you have all those commercials for the prep pill, which okay, like I'm not saying that this is only a gay disease, but do you notice on the commercials for those that it's exclusively gay people that are in those commercials?
Seriously, I mean, yeah, you'll throw up a fat black lady and like kind of like you know uh, like a typical idea of like a masculine man, but that masculine man, he's probably a butt bumper.
Yeah, but a lot of now there were a limited amount of cases in this where they're through blood transfusions that people got because the regulations on how that was done, they weren't they weren't
Right,
necessarily
yeah,
looking for that, and so yeah, so some people were that did get that disease even though they weren't getting butt fucked at a truck stop. It's which is
right.
unfortunate, and
But
this is
yeah,
also
but
the same thing that
hot
happened.
take here, hot take here, hot take here. But I bet that was merely so they could say that, oh, see, it's not just gay people that get it.
And I do, like I said, it's not like a significant number, but it's significant enough where it's like, it sucks. I would hate to be that person. It's like, well, you did what to me, you fuckers?
Right. Yeah, but I mean, yes, like getting a little tinfoil hat there. I bet it was they did that so that they could then claim it's like, see, it's not all gay people that get it.
Yeah. Well, I don't disagree with you.
Right. So yeah, just to bring it on home here, there. Yeah. I mean, for those of us who are, those of you who are on, kind of on my side of the line there, um, I think we really do have to get past this, and and I think we have to get to I hope you if ever scenario like that happens to you where like there was someone who was like pushing for masks and vaccines and in the stripping of civil rights for people who wouldn't participate. I hope you come to it. You come at it the same way that I did with just a smile and and just kind of going on your way.
Yeah. I think we're
Because
gonna look
that's
back. I think we're gonna look back in 20 years on this whole thing. It's like, oh, I guess they were right.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The wicked flee when no one pursueth.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. All right. With that out of the way, let's get into the topics of discussion for tonight. Do you have a preference on where you want to start?
Well, we can start with the Super Bowl.
Okay. All right. Super Bowl. Super Bowl 20. I mean, not 23, but
57, I believe.
57. Yeah. But Super Bowl 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chiefs and Eagles. It was a really
Um,
great game, fun game,
yeah.
great back and forth.
The game was fantastic. Like the actual playing of the game was great. It was, and both teams are really good. I'm sad that my team wasn't in it, but that's okay. But no, I enjoyed the game very much. And it really, like, it's one of those games that it really did come down to one play. We didn't know it at the time, but like that one bobble by the Eagles that gave the
Oh yeah,
Chiefs
yeah, yeah.
that touchdown. That was really what ended up being the deciding factor in the game.
Hmm.
A penalty and a fumble. And the good games come down to, it's like where one play makes the difference,
Hmm.
and that's what happened this year. And actually, the last couple of years have been really, really good games in the Super Bowl. And congratulations to the Chiefs. They won another Super Bowl. I think it's their third Super Bowl, and so that aspect is great. I like the game of football is a good game. It's fun to watch. I do like the game. What I don't like, however, especially now, the Super Bowl has become such a bloated thing. Like all the hip hop parade hoopla that's like before and during the pregame and like the halftime show. I really could give two fucks about any of that stuff. I just want to watch the game.
Hmm.
And to a degree, it's happened in some of like the big NASCAR events too, like the Daytona 500, the Coca-Cola 600. Those events have become somewhat bloated as well. And I think it's true of most big time sporting events. Maybe like the MLB All Star Game, or like there's certain things where it's like there's too much like pomp and circumstance, and like, oh, we got to inject this in there, and we have to have this, and like, oh, we have to have that feel good thing. It's like, no, you don't need any of that. If people who like, obviously you want to get like the most viewers as you can, I understand that aspect of it, but for me it's like the story of like the players themselves or the sport itself uh, is interesting enough where I think you can tell those stories and make it exciting. Even to people who don't like football, or who maybe are more like fair weather fans. Um, I mean, and like the Super Bowl is also famous for its kind of like people spend a lot of advertising revenue. They do like you get like the new commercial campaigns going, and I can at least say this year the commercials, most of the things that were being advertised, it was an actual product that they were selling. It's like, as opposed to like, what the fuck was that for? Uh, I don't know if you felt the same way, Andy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, uh, except for the singing of the Black National Anthem, whatever the fuck that is, at the beginning. Yeah, in terms of wokeness, it was very mild this year,
Very mild.
which was very refreshing. It's like, yeah, like to your point, yeah, most of the, I mean, I was, Super Bowl commercials aren't as big a deal as they are now, since a lot of the companies, they just drop the commercials on YouTube or whatever. Um, so we can't, we already, it's not a big reveal. There's no big reveal anymore. Um,
I think that's what kind of, I think that's I don't like that anymore. I kind of like to
no,
have
no,
like
neither do I. Neither do
I
I.
like
And
to I
because
like to
even
have
if
like
you're not a big a sports guy, you can at least still enjoy the commercials, and
yeah,
and that
that's
and that
one
that's really,
time where,
and I think that's what we're really missing nowadays, is like these big kind of communal experience things. And I mean, and I do think that the NFL, you know, bending the knee and having the Black National Anthem performed before the start of the game, I think was a mistake.
Yeah.
Because how is that how is that bringing us together by highlighting one specific demographic? I mean, then like, are you gonna have, you know, the Asian national anthem?
Yeah.
Are you gonna have like the Indian, the feathers, not the dot, national anthem? Are you gonna do on and on and on, and atom by atom by atom by atom, making these doing these virtue signals, to the point where like now it's just like it's not about bringing people together anymore. Which that's one of the functions of the Super Bowl, is to have a shared uh, communal experience. And yeah,
Yeah.
you're not doing it with like everybody within like your city, but you're doing it within like smaller groups, and or you can go to a bar and have like a bigger community kind of
Exactly.
experience, or you can
And
have,
that,
yeah, that's the beauty of the Super Bowl. You can have as big or as small of a communal experience as you can, but you're still having a communal experience. And on Monday you can go in and be like, oh man, did you see the game? Like, yeah, the game is like, it was so great, the back and forth. It's so sad that the Eagles made that stupid did that stupid play and that penalty at the end. It's like, oh yeah, it's like, oh, did you see that funny commercial with the talking babies and
yeah. That's what it used to be like, and where like you even like I don't agree with this person on any other thing, but like, hey, we like football. Like, and we can talk about that. We could talk about the commercials. We could enjoy that experience together. Like, and that was part of like what makes these sporting events so great. Yeah, it is like something where we can kind of forget our differences and come together and have a good time.
Mhm.
And it's just not quite like that anymore. Um, oh God, I remember, well, uh, and the other thing too is like stuff like this is you know the sport of the people. Like the all these sports, they're these used to be stuff for like the common man. I was we were looking up just like what it would have cost to get a Super Bowl ticket. Like
Mhm.
the nosebleeds are like $4,200 for the Super Bowl. Are you fucking kidding me? And I think part of it is if they didn't have so much of this like inflated like stuff that is like unnecessary, we don't need to have all this like extra shit. If it's just the game,
Mhm.
you don't need to charge that much. But I mean it's a greed factor. I understand that.
Right,
Like it's
right.
just
Yeah,
that's what
because I'm sure like part of the ticket sales did go into probably the cost of getting Rihanna to get her ass out of retirement, and you know
exactly.
and basically pop in a CD and and move around a bit.
Which I paid zero attention to because I'm like I don't give a crap. Like I like I said I haven't cared about the halftime show in I don't know maybe since like they stopped doing having marching bands do the halftime show back in
Actually,
the
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know it wasn't during the Super Bowl, but remember, I know, don't get triggered, but that time, like the marching band did like that giant like Michael Jackson formation and like did the moonwalk. Dude, that's fucking awesome.
that was cool. That was fucking great. It's like
I know,
even
that's why
even
that's why that's why I had to give you a little warning before I said anything.
no, as much as like I have negative to say about Michael Jackson, I had to say that was fucking cool.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, give us like actual spectacle. I mean, the halftime show was so boring, and
I mean, Pac-Man and Mrs. Pac-Man got married during the halftime show one year, I think.
again, but again, yeah, I think that also goes to like the democratization of content creation, because now before before you're limited to the four local stations,
Right.
in the area that you live, and then when cable came out, or when cable came out, I don't know what that weird accent was. You were open to TV from like Dallas, or from or Seattle, and then the 24-hour news cycle came about, and then you had these mega corporations coming together, and you had your MTV and your Nickelodeon, and on and on and on. But then then YouTube came along, and then now anyone could be a content creator. Anyone could share their lives, or share a skill, or come up with some sort of entertainment. And I think that's also why we've lost that sense of like community, is because we're not all watching the same thing. Like my main jam on YouTube is like cooking videos and fishing videos.
Right.
And it's just like it's like so I go to a bunch of people. It's like, hey man, did you guys see this great video from such and such person? He reeled in like this 30 pound 30 pound halibut, and it's like, what? And they fire back something that they watched at YouTube. It's like, oh yeah, I'm not really into that. It's like, okay, like
I
how are we
want.
supposed to how well, where is like where are we supposed how are we supposed to uh or how are we supposed to have cohesion if we're not consuming the same thing, or having same experiences.
Yeah, I want my YouTube is a lot of stuff with like movies and games, and then I have like a lot of I watch old NASCAR races on YouTube. So
Mm-hmm.
that's my YouTube. But then like I'm also I have a lot of like the streaming sites. So I have like Tubi, which is free, but then I have Criterion, I have Paramount, I have Showtime, uh, Shutter. Like
Hey, doesn't that get
Disney
expensive though?
Plus. Huh?
Doesn't that get expensive, having all those streaming
Well, some of
services?
them I'm not all. Some of them I'm sharing with other people.
I see.
Um, and then like I've shared some with like my friends. So we kind of like. So I'm not paying for all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, if I had like all the streaming sites, like yeah, it gets really fucking expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I also don't pay for cable anymore. So yeah, it did kind of like
Oh, okay. So you just pay for internet.
in the long run, I'm actually like not spending as much as I was,
Mm-hmm.
and I have access to like a lot of like good stuff. Like I don't watch as many like shows anymore. It's mainly been like movies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and uh, it's also you know with this though, it's also made me more conscious about like I probably should do like getting more physical media, just because with the it while the digital streaming is really great, that like we have access to like a lot of movies that I would have never had access to when I was in high school. I would have loved to have seen all these like Kurosawa movies, but they weren't really readily available. It's you kind of had to go into some back corner of a you know third rate rental store to find that
Yeah.
stuff.
Right.
Nowadays, I have the
Yeah.
entire
You have to go, or you have to go to an ethnic enclave, and go to their video stores.
exactly, and because whereas like I would have watched all that stuff as a kid because it's great, but now I have access. The entire Kurosawa library is on Criterion.
Mm-hmm.
That's great, and through that exploration, it's like, okay, you watch like this type of film, here's another film that like is kind of like it. And through that I found a lot of stuff. I've learned about a lot of stuff, and like I said, I've really become a huge fucking nerd when it comes to movies. Like,
Yeah, you've been
well,
kind
the
of
other,
you know if I'm to be honest, you've been kind of on a tear.
yeah, well, with like the one reason why I really like the Criterion Collection stuff is because it's not just the movie. It's like I get to learn about like some how like about the director. I get to learn about like some of the the actors or like why this movie's important. What how did it move film forward? What did they do different and stuff like that. And certain films have done more to do that than others. Like we've talked about like Citizen Kane, we've talked about stuff like that, but uh, yeah, but you're right. Like having all that stuff is great, but it's also detrimental. So like like you said, like that communal experience that we come together to watch the Super Bowl, it's kind of diminished in some ways, and um, for me, I'm there because I do like the sport. I do like the sport of football. I think it's a good sport. Um, um, Even better now that like my team is doing good because the Buffalo Bills have been awful for a long time up until like the last 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to see them like at least competitive again.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully one of these before like I go into the grave, they'll actually not only make it back to the Super Bowl but win the damn thing.
When
Then
was the
I can
last time
die
they were in
happy.
the Super Bowl again?
They went to 4 straight Super Bowls in the early '90s and lost all
Right.
4. They should have won against the Giants back in 1990, if not for a failed field goal attempt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they lost to the Washington Redskins. I think that was a close game too. I don't know how. And then they got their teeth kicked in by the Dallas Cowboys 2 years in a row. And then
Mm.
they should have made it back in 1999, but they got screwed over in the game against Tennessee. That they call it the Music City Miracle. I call it bullshit because it was the guy was past the line of scrimmage and it was a forward pass, and they should have called it and they didn't. And it's just like, and it led, and there was a whole bunch of other problems with like what Buffalo did in that game too. It's just
Mm-hmm.
they didn't start the quarterback that got them there. They went to the other guy that the owner was in love with, and it was just like, are you a moron?
Well, a second stringer?
No, so it was so the first stringer who
Or did the owner bring on like a completely new guy?
no. So the guy that they had is like their top billed quarterback got hurt like really
Mm-hmm.
bad,
Oh, okay.
and so their young guy at the time, Doug Flutie, who played for like Boston College,
Right.
he was he like kind of carried the team, I mean among other players, but he was the one that was leading the team they got him into the playoffs, and all of a sudden the top billed guy, the starting quarterback, came back like as I think it was like the first round of the playoffs for the Bills,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, oh well, we're gonna start this guy. It's like, are you insane? Like he was not doing that good before he got hurt, and then he's had like 8 weeks off, and you're gonna and the guy that's been on fire for you, you're just gonna sit him? Are you stupid? And the Bills were still in the game despite that. And then this happened. I'm like, oh my god, it just
Just make the
he
pain
can't win.
stop.
Yeah, the pain. And then last year when we had that crazy game in the divisional round with the Kansas City Chiefs where we should have won that game too. And it's just. The pain never stops with the Bills. I'm telling, and we lost. And this year we lost. We lost in the snow in Buffalo, and I couldn't believe that. I was just so mad. It's like, come on, guys.
Just can't get a
Ugh.
break, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's that, but that's part. Hey, when that's your team, you don't give up on your team,
Right.
whether they're good, they're bad, or ugly. You stick with your team.
Yeah.
And like I said, honestly, like, yeah, the Dodgers won the championship a couple years ago, but God, they still make stupid ass decisions. Like and it's heartbreaking to watch the Dodgers because like there should be no reason why they're not in the World Series every year, and yet they find a way to fuck it up. It's like, yeah, like I said, with the team that they have now, there's no reason that they should not have been in like the last 4 World Series. It just bugs me.
For sure.
But yeah, I hope we're never gonna. Unfortunately, we're never gonna get that tube back in the toothpaste with all the bloat when it comes to like the Super Bowl and all that stuff. It's just not gonna happen. But like I said, I don't. I hope maybe somebody will like, hey, you know what? People don't actually like any of this stuff. Maybe like we should just enjoy the fucking game. And if they don't want to watch the game, that's fine too. They can go to their stickball games or whatever the hell that they or their operas or whatever the hell that they want to do.
Yeah.
Oh, and the other thing too, like very happy that like my friend hosted. He's been on the podcast a couple times. Jason, and we went to his place for the Super Bowl party, and I think we were all very disappointed because he had some other friends that were coming, and like so and they said, oh yeah, we're gonna bring like such and such food. It's like, oh great, they didn't we didn't know what it was, but like we're like, okay great. So they didn't order as much like a ton of food, and like so I was like, okay, well if people are bringing food, I don't want to like overindulge us. So I was like, oh I'll bring drinks. And then Dan and Daryl, they Santa Claus, they brought like some of the appetizers. Like, okay, great. And the disappointment in the room was when the other group that came that brought food, it was all vegan food.
Oh my god.
And I was like, and for me, I'm just like,
out of here.
I was like, you know what?
Get out of here. No.
Yeah.
No. The one day, all right? The one day. If you're going to have a mix, okay, I'm not one to say because even at our Super Bowl viewing party at church, we made an accommodation, but we didn't make it like the entirety.
Right. Like here's the thing. Like I like I said, I don't mind like a little bit of like kind of something a little healthy.
You want to bring like a vegetable plate or some hummus.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, fine, but don't make it the entire meal.
I'm all for a little crudité. Like I like that. It helps kind of like it balances out like all the sausage and like the pepperoni and pizza that I want and the chicken wings. And yeah, like my wife didn't say anything there, but like literally the entire car ride home, she's like, "This is fucking bullshit. How are you gonna bring?" It's like, and it's like, and it was
wow. The one time that me and your wife would have been on the same wavelength.
That it was so bad that the next day, like I got home from work and she literally was like had a rant, like a 2-hour rant.
She was still pissed off.
She was still fucking furious. I was like, honey, it's over. It happened. Okay.
It's like they can't hurt you anymore. It's like they can't hurt you anymore.
It's like we're literally like, it's funny because we're literally eating like bacon and sausage and eggs. It's like, honey, it's over. Yo, show me on the stuffed animal where they hurt you.
Yeah, it's like show me on the pig where they hurt you.
It's like we're making up for it. That's why we're having like sausage and bacon and eggs and like all this other stuff.
Okay. Like, what was brought? Give me a breakdown.
Oh, so like the salad was okay. Like I actually did like the salad. It should have had like a little bit of chicken in there, but like that was fine. I liked the salad. But they brought like avocado sushi. It's like which is like so it was like the California roll without the crab. It's like what the hell is wrong? No.
Right.
It's gross. They had some sort of like lentil dish or some sort or whatever. I was like, yeah, what? I don't know what else. It was just like I was like I looked at it. I was like, I just kind of like took a quick glance because I was because Daryl and Dan, they brought ceviche, so I was like, oh, I was just grabbing that, and I just kind of like glanced over. I was like, yeah, I'm not even interested. I'm just gonna go back to watching the fucking game. I'll eat when I get home.
Oh, jeez.
And my wife is like, it was so. How do you do that to it? Like at a game, like how do you do this? And it's like I won't. It's like I was up until like 10 o'clock. I was still hungry. I had to like make like a whole freaking meal for myself after I got home because I was so hungry. It's like, I'm sorry. It's not my fault. I didn't know. I'm just a guest. It's not my place. I didn't know who was bringing what. Like, I was just told that there was going to be plenty of food. So I offered to bring drinks. And he's like, I think we spent the most money. We spent like this amount of money on drinks. Like, honey, this is going to happen sometimes. You know how many bad like Super Bowl parties I've been to, or how many bad parties I've been to? Plenty. Every once in a while you step into a stinker.
Oh,
You know,
jeez.
and it wasn't Jason's fault either. Like, cause he was pissed too. Yeah, it's like you're gonna step into my house and bring all this vegan food? Are you fucking kidding me? I could just see that was the look he had on his face.
I mean, seriously, if a friend of mine brought that shit over my house, I like, it's like,
Get out.
It's like, what have I done to earn such disrespect? I would oppose the Don Corleone. It's like, what have I done to make you, treat me with such disrespect?
What have I done to earn such a flat Manhattan?
Oh my god.
There's your Simpsons reference for the day.
There it is. Were there any commercials that stood out to you?
Uh um I thought it was kind of interesting that there was really no like Budweiser commercial. That was kind of weird.
Mm.
I mean, there were beer commercials. It's just, but it wasn't like kind of. Usually, Budweiser does something kind of. They're usually kind of one of the big advertisers.
Mm-hmm.
No, not really. Like, it wasn't anything that I was like, what the fuck is this? It's like, what are they selling?
Mm-hmm.
It was all pretty straightforward, but like, yeah, maybe I was more, maybe like because of years past, like I kind of tuned out, to be honest. I wasn't really paying attention to the commercials.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of used that to like go to the bathroom. I was really more focused just on the actual game of football. And to be honest, I kind of enjoyed myself a lot more because of that.
Mm.
Because it was a really fantastic game. It really was.
Mm-hmm. For
And
sure,
I
for
think
sure.
like and but my wife, despite all the food issues, she did have a good time. Like she was able to, yeah, she had a good time. So
That's
it
good.
was it was all good. But yeah, that was my Super Bowl experience this year. It was interesting. Next time, like if it's I think either next year it'll probably be either on NBC or CBS. If
Mm.
that's the case, I'm gonna host, and we're not gonna have any fucking vegan food. I guarantee that. Good God, no.
Uh,
There will be wings. There will be pizza. There will be sausage. Like there will be it's not football food.
yes, real food.
Chili dogs.
Oh yes. I don't know how close to your paying, but did you notice that uh, that I forget what the group is called, like Gets Us or like or Jesus for us or whatever or something like that. But it was basically it was basically pushing Christianity to some degree.
Yes, I did see that commercial. I was like, what are they trying to do here? Like, because I didn't. To me, I was like, I didn't get like Jesus out of that. I was like, I thought like they were trying to make some other like crazy. I didn't get it. To be honest, I know what commercial you're talking about. Yeah, it kind of it turned me off a lot. I was like, what is this?
Right. Yeah, it's just really. I found that commercial to be very weird. Um, because it's talking about like bringing people together, and and basically the broad theme of it was like unity, right? But I think to like the casual viewer or like not really engaged uh, believer, they'll the kind of that thing that will kind of like go over their head, like, oh yeah, message unity, good, coming together, great. But when you look at what they're really pushing, it, it's not really like Christianity. I mean, in my opinion.
That because I certainly didn't get that vibe from it at all. Like, it's not like, hey, yeah, it's because we're all looking at it, like, and people are asking us like, well, what the hell was that? It's like it's nothing I would have done if I was trying to put out a message for Christ. That's for damn sure.
Right, because it's because again, it's not conveying any sense of like repentance or reconciliation. It's just like, oh, you have a point of view, I have a point of view, and they that oppose each other, but that doesn't mean we can't come together. It's like that's literally what that means.
That's nothing. That's kind
Yeah,
of like
that's nonsense.
that's
That's
hip
nonsense
bullshit.
talk. That's
Yeah,
literally nonsense talk. It's like, oh, I have an opinion. I oppose that opinion, but we can still come together. It's like, no, that's not how unity works. It's like you have to have what is it? This content creator named Vince Dow. He was on this Vice panel, talking
mhm.
about I think the actual topic of discussion was like the model minority myth
Yeah.
within the
I
Asian
saw that.
community.
No,
And then yeah, and
he
like you had like these
he broke that.
liberal soft-headed people on the panel, and they were talking about like, oh yeah, diversity is a strength, and then Vince Dow just coming in like a Mack truck, be like
First of
that's
all,
absurd. That's absurd. Because
clearly the best dressed person on the panel. He was
yes, he
dressed
was
the
the
wrong way.
okay. He was the most serious person on the panel.
He broke their brains, dude. It
Yeah,
was
he was the most serious. He came there like he came like
with a
well
purpose.
dressed, and he came with the facts. You know, and he took and he like people don't really take Vice panels or whatever like too seriously, but he came there as a serious man to debate seriously. And all these
I
people like
yeah,
came like with nonsense. And
he
he was like,
understands that.
like, yeah, and he broke it down. Like, I forget, someone said something about like diversity being a strength. And he's like, how is diversity a strength? Cultures and civilizations don't coalesce or come together because they have nothing in common. They come together because they have one thing in common,
Here's
at the
he,
least.
you know what? Here's the crazy thing. He's not saying anything new. You know who's been saying that for years? Larry Elder.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure Vince Dow has read the book by Larry. You know,
Yeah, I
yeah.
guarantee he has.
Yeah, I'm sure he's read the gospel according to Larry Elder.
Yeah, and it's
Again, just to be clear, that's not an actual book. I'm just playing it for comedic effect.
well, yeah, I understand what you're doing.
I know, yeah,
Larry
but
Elder.
for other people who might take me too seriously, like they'll go on like Google and try to find that book or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's no, but he I'm sure he's listened to Larry Elder. And
Yeah.
here's the thing though, like it's not just minority, it's all people that pertains to. I
Mm-hmm.
trust me, I have a whole family like that has not abided by that. And their lives are just they're it's not good. Yeah, and had they just like not fucked up, and like kind of did that, like, don't have kids out of wedlock, graduate,
Yeah, get your
get a
college
job.
diploma at least. Wait till you get married to have kids. What's the third one again?
Had like my family followed that, like, on my mom's side of the family, like, it would have worked out. Their lives would be so much more prosperous. And the ones
Wait,
that
what?
have, and the ones that have done that have made a life for themselves. And they've done a really good job.
What's the third thing?
Graduate high school, don't have
Right.
children out of wedlock, and get a job.
Oh, okay, get a job. But anyways, back to the commercial. So yeah, they were really pushing like unity, in Christ though. They were talking about like how Jesus is for us, but that doesn't mean anything. It's like we have to be the ones for Jesus. You know?
Yes, Jesus has done everything that he can and will do for us.
Yeah, exactly.
uh, Now it's our duty to believe in that and accept it, and then
Right,
abide.
exactly. And the way we come together is through Christ.
Yeah, and abide in that vine together.
Exactly,
That's
and
the
not
point.
yeah.
But yeah,
Right,
that
yeah. The message was so like off on this because they're basically saying like, oh, you could have differing opinions uh, or viewpoints in life, but you can still come together. It's like around what? If we diametrically oppose one another, then how are we supposed to come together?
yeah,
And even though they said like, oh, like they had like, oh, it's like Jesus, for us, it's like that doesn't mean anything. It's like because we're the ones who are supposed to come to Jesus, and we're supposed to be united through Him, not that two diametrically opposed people can't both believe in Jesus, but it's like it doesn't make sense.
you are no longer Jew or Greek, male or female. It's I've said that on here many times. Like, we're not, we become. Although yes, we are from like different backgrounds, we have different skin color, we have different culture, or whatever. But
Right, and
that is
yeah, of course,
is the
he's talking
connective
in the
tissue.
grand scheme sort of way. Not that we like completely shed, ourselves of these specific categories, male, female, Jew, Greek, Asian, white person.
Yeah,
It's just that the greater category, the greater context is in Jesus.
bingo.
Yeah, but if two people with vastly opposing viewpoints, how are they reconciled? Especially like if one side is is purporting that that their big like their various categories are are of paramount importance, even over Christ.
Yeah,
Like, oh, like being such and such minority, being such and such minority, sexual like category, on and on and on. That's more important than Jesus. Which again, that like you can't say that you're a Christian. In my opinion, you can't say that you're a Christian and then say, but like, you know, me being, but these other, identity categories are is equally as important as me being Christian.
right, right.
And
But
so, yeah,
yeah,
I don't know, like, I don't know what this group is called. I forget the name. And I haven't done any research on them. I think I will, just so I can have a better handle on, like, what exactly is, like, their mission statement, what exactly, who's involved in this.
right, right.
Um,
Who knows?
uh,
Maybe they are like, a genuine group. Trying, like, they just maybe flubbed this one.
right, exactly. I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt and be like, okay, maybe just like the messaging on this one was bad, but theology or whatever is solid, and they just didn't express it in like the best possible way. But you know,
They hired the wrong PR firm.
yeah, right, yeah.
Like with Homer in his second Mr. Plow commercial, where it's like, Dad, was that your commercial? I don't know. Jesus, was that your commercial? I don't know.
But yeah, other than that, like the very boring halftime show. Yeah, that's pretty much my experience.
I literally like I was talking with we ended up talking about movies during the halftime show. We were like we tuned out.
Yeah, and I mean, in a sense, I'm kind of glad that it was like boring as hell, because at least, I mean, but then yeah, you got the whole controversy of how, like, you know, her backup dancers all in white were like sperm and whatever.
Honestly, I literally did not watch a second of it. I couldn't say yay or nay on that.
Right. I know there's some people who, like, you know, I mean, I don't know if it's valid or whatever, but like I really don't care. I mean, and like maybe I should, because like there's some people who are gonna, you know, who are blindly just gonna take in that entertainment and just be like, oh yeah, everything's fine. I mean, it even happened at my church. I mean, sadly to say, but it's like, you know, like most of like the women was like hyped about the Rihanna performance, and I'm just, and most, you know, of course most of the guys are just like whatever. Yeah.
It's like, but then again, like that's how it is for me. Like every year, I don't care about the halftime show. I don't go to a football game so I can watch like a concert. Like it's just like it's the same thing. Like I don't go to a NASCAR race to watch a concert. I go there to watch the fucking race. You know, that's what I want to. You know, like that's what I go there for. You know, I'm there for the event, not for, you know, the.
Oh extra. Yeah, supposedly Rihanna did some obscene gesture, but I don't recall, and
why is everyone surprised by that?
Yeah, yeah. Rihanna, why? Yeah, it's like it's like watching gay porn and be like, oh my god, they're sodomizing each other. It's like, yeah, it's gay porn.
Have you watched like?
Oh my god, heavens to Betsy! Have you seen this video? Like, they're sodomizing each other.
Yeah, it's like. It's like, have you ever seen like a Rihanna like music video, or like listen to any of her music? Like, why are you surprised? Age, oh, the horror. It's like, wake up, stupid.
Right. It's yeah. It's like, and you go to it like you're expecting and you get the vapors because you're seeing this thing. You know, it's like it's a great bit from Owen Benjamin when he's talking about like, oh yeah, it's like a Christian going to a gay club and like slapping the dicks out of everyone's hands. It's like, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it.
I'm so Owen Benjamin. He's so great, dude.
Yeah, he just has like the perfect way of like distilling stuff, you know.
Yeah, it's like, let me get my fainting couch ready. Like, Rihanna did something nasty? Oh, God.
I know. Like, oh, heavens to Betsy. How could she? She's such an upstanding woman of character.
I never. Oh. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that dick slapping one.
Who are you going to use that dick slapping on?
Well, when someone gets like shocked, you know, about like, you know, stuff going on, I'm going to use that analogy.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, like a Christian going to a gay bar and slapping the dicks out of everyone's hands.
I'm always like, you know, trying out new material on the road. You know, it's just anything to get a laugh out of people. Right,
but you also have to follow through and do the gesturing like I did. Like, stop it, stop it, stop it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what sells it.
That is yeah. You have to have the physical comedy to go along with it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Anything else about
No,
the? Oh,
I don't have anything
well, we didn't
else.
really talk about the exorbitant ticket prices.
Oh well, yeah. Like I said, it's this. Well, I kind of did touch on it a little bit that the
Oh,
prices are
did we?
just it's too much.
Mm-hmm.
And this even goes to like regular season games. Like um, I'm a huge fan of baseball. The
Uh-huh.
prices are just it's too fucking much. The concessions are too much. The ticket prices are too much. And now like because and this is also another thing that's not going to go back. The toothpaste is not going to go back in the tube. But they've
Mm-hmm.
done this structured pricing like where obviously like the big like rivalry game that's going to cost those tickets are going to be way more.
Mm-hmm.
But this other game over here, like this team that like nobody cares about, well those prices won't be so bad. And it's like here's the thing. The prices should be the same. They should be affordable. Like a family of four should be able to go to. I'm not saying that like sitting behind home plate or whatever. Like I'm just talking about like the regular normal seats. A family of four should be able to go to a baseball game or a football game or whatever
Mm-hmm.
and be able to like enjoy the game, enjoy some concessions, and not like have to mortgage their house to go to the fucking game. It's
Right.
ridiculous.
Right. It was the same principle behind Walt Disney's really thesis behind Disneyland is so families could go and spend the day together, but not like break the bank.
This is where I think if the people rallied together on this, it's
Mm-hmm.
like the prices are too much. You know what? We're gonna we're all collectively as a fan group, we're done. We're not gonna go to any games until the ticket prices and the concessions are lowered.
Mm-hmm.
You know how fast that they would fucking change that? It'd be over
Right.
in a week.
Right. But again, it goes back to like the idea of community, and I mean, because the fan bases for these various sports teams is made up a lot of people, and it's some people are just going to be like, oh, it's just it is what it is now. This is the new normal. You'll
Like
have
I said,
those type of people.
yeah.
And
Well,
which
that
I think is, I don't want to say majority, but a large portion of the fan base, where they're just kind of like, they're just the throw up your hands and like, whoa, well, that's the new normal. That's what it is. And and they'll continue to shovel out hundreds and thousands of dollars just for one day.
yeah. And to me, I'm like, there is if we all stood up as a collective fan group and it's like no we're not going to go to any more games until you actually like lower the prices to like to a certain degree. I mean yeah, that maybe that makes the tickets harder to get because they are a little bit more affordable. That's
Mm-hmm.
fine, I don't care about that. um but the fact is like there I shouldn't have to like lose my arm over just because I want to go to I want to go to a couple of baseball games a year.
Mm-hmm.
um and and the thing is like what people don't realize is like do you want to spend for your family of four, do you want to spend $1,000 or do you want to spend $100?
Right.
Oh, I would rather spend $100. Okay, well then let's stand up and let's not like fucking like give in to that. And they like I said after a week the money amount of money that they would lose is astronomical. They would change that shit in a fucking hurry.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh shit, no one's going to the game. Like, no, we're not making any money. And
It's like, oh yeah,
uh,
the stadium didn't reach capacity, sir. It's like, what?
yeah, exactly. Especially for the Dodgers. Dodgers are a winning team. It is packed nearly every fucking game. It doesn't matter
Right.
who the opponent is.
Right.
Um, And,
Yeah, but of course, then like some franchises might lob up the reasons like, oh well, we're funding this new funding this improvements to the stadium, kind of like with Dodger Stadium recently. They're trying to modern
they,
it up a
they
bit,
you know
but
how much they are making hand over the team is making billions of dollars. Okay, they can afford to them cutting ticket prices so that it's actually affordable for people to go to is not going to hurt them. Okay, it's not. They just do that because we can make more money.
of course, of course,
And it's really kind of it's a kind of a shame that's the case. And like I said, I would love to go to more sporting events. I've never been to an NFL game. I would love to go, but it's way too expensive. I can't afford to go.
right,
I love baseball. I used to have season tickets. I can't afford season tickets anymore. It's way too much, even for like where I was sitting at the top deck. Um, you know, basketball is like I think is like the worst. Like it's really fucking
yeah.
expensive.
I've only been to one basketball game, and that was the Clippers, but that was back when they still sucked.
Yeah,
And I've been to at the least four, no, at the least three Dodger games. It might be more, but I'm sure of at least three times I've been to a Dodger game.
hell, like NASCAR's even gone like that actually used to be pretty affordable. Like I can't afford that anymore either. Like it's like going to like Auto Club Speedway. It used to be like a $40 ticket for like a pretty or $50 for like one of like the really good seats. Now it's like it's like tripled in price. I'm like, what? It's just nuts. And I mean, like I did splurge when I went. About God, now going on 16 years ago. God damn, it's almost 20 years ago now. When I went to the Daytona 500, I bought tickets for my mom, my dad, and I. But I splurged and I got us like the pit passes and all that stuff. So that that costs a little bit extra. But even then, I spent maybe $500 on the three of us, and that was splurging. Now I couldn't do that today. Like I'd spend like $2,000.
Right.
It's nuts. It's just it's not right.
No.
And I think oh, and this is supposed to this is like America's game. This is the game of the people, and yet to go to the championship game, I think like nosebleed tickets were like $4,200.
Oh, the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, for the Super Bowl. I understand like why the tickets would be like more than like just like a regular season game. I get that. That's fine. But like they are almost 10 times the amount of like a regular season game, like for like at the half field midfield line.
Mm-hmm.
Like come on, that's not right. But people just
Right.
keep paying
Yeah.
it like somehow like.
Right.
And
Yeah. You're right with the because what is it? Yeah, a lot of sports now they're becoming like Coachella. It's like multiple day event. You can't just come in for the game and then leave right after. I mean, you can, but
Yeah,
now it's like they have like mini concerts going on. They have like kind of like this festival, you know, feel to it with like the NFL like experience booths where you could throw passes to a certain NFL team player or whatever. And I mean it's become Coachella.
and honestly though they could cut all that shit out, and like people still come to the game. I guarantee they will sell out that fucking stadium.
Right, and I
Guarantee
mean,
it.
and that's what tailgating is for.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what tailgating is
Yeah,
for.
like what, like it's so funny because like every other thing, like some sort of like it's progressed some way, right? But like you never hear about like tailgating culture anymore, or like you know, at the Super Bowl, you never see them go into like the parking lot and like put a camera, on the people who are tailgating. Where are those people?
And they should be like that's where the action is. You go to a NASCAR race and like it's like I remember like when I went to Richmond Raceway uh, back a number of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it's there was a whole tailgating like section just like hanging out, drinking beer, grilling up some food and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You have that like football is the ultimate tailgating experience.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, hell, it's like 30 degrees and snowing, but they're out there grilling food and like yucking it up, drinking
Yeah,
some
sitting on
beers, and
lawn
having
sitting on lawn chairs.
yeah,
Breaking out the cornhole.
exactly. And it's like it's fun, and even though like the weather sucks, but like at least like you're still having a good old time,
Mm-hmm.
and that's that you don't need the whole like special experience. Like the special experiences in the fucking parking lot, with like your friends and family and like like the fans. Like
Mm-hmm.
was it uh famously like at Talladega for NASCAR, the infield experience, like there's no like special experience, but like the infield, like all the people who go to they come for all the races happening at Talladega, which it is a weekend experience per se because you have the Xfinity series and like the truck series that race there,
Mm-hmm.
so you get 3 days of racing. But then they camp out like for 3 days, and that infield experience I've heard is fucking wild. There's no special like extra thing that you have to pay for, and the tickets aren't like crazy expensive, although it's gone up a little bit in price recently, but still like that's what it's about. Like you have all these like fun experiences that you create for yourself, not that like the PR guy is like, well,
Yeah,
this
the,
is
the
what I think
corporate.
the people want.
I mean, you can argue that the NFL has always been a corporate event, but now it like seems like more of a corporate event. It's like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, the Pepsi halftime show, or the on and on and on, like whatever corporate spot, you know uh you know uh the the long bomb, throwing thing, sponsored by Pfizer or whatever.
yeah, right.
Like, see how far your arm, your arm can throw a football and then get a vaccine. Sponsored by Pfizer. Um, but yeah,
Exactly.
it's become more and more corporatized, and it's losing that original fan base that made football such a special thing, and even and to a greater extent, the Super Bowl a special thing.
Yeah, but yeah, I like I said, it's become it. This is no longer a sport for the common man. It's like like I said, the TV experience is just fine. Don't I still, like I said, I still watch sports on TV. Not as much as I used to. Um, but yeah, it's just like to go to a live event now. Like I'm probably gonna start. Well, hell, even like the college games are like really expensive. Like so, I can't even watch a freaking like amateur like sports like for well at least for football for that cheap. The But yeah, for like baseball, I think I'm gonna start going to minor league games. And when it comes to auto racing, like support your local racetracks. Like here we have Irwindale, which is not that far away from where we live. It's maybe 30 minutes away, and the racing there is fantastic. It's not like this, the super big names or anything, but like it's people who are you know, trying to make a name for themselves, and the racing is fantastic. I think there's also Paris. There's Kern County Raceway up in Bakersfield. That's about an hour away.
Hmm.
Great racing there. I haven't been to the new Kern County Raceway. I used to go when it was Mesa Marin, which is racetrack that closed. Um, I think there's also Paris Raceway, which is a dirt track, which I've never been to, but I would love to go. And then but all over the country, there's all sorts of these you can go to the minor league games, you can go to the to the local racetracks, and they are just as raucous and fun. And you're not gonna destroy your savings by going to the racetrack or going to the ballpark or whatever. And I think honestly, I'm encouraging more people to go and do that because this is how you send the message to to the NFL, to the NBA, whatever. Yeah, we're not gonna just stand for the exorbitant ticket prices. It's not right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I know I talked about how most of the fan base are just basically reason to win. They'll blow whichever way they go. A lot of them would just throw up their hands and shrug their shoulders and be like, "Oh, this is the new normal." But if you could just rally even again 3%, because again, the Revolutionary War was sparked up by 3% of the 30% of the population.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take much, but once that ball starts to roll, I think a lot of people will eventually hop on and go, yeah, you guys are right, and they'll see once they see at least the people that would it's kind of shrug their shoulders, they'll probably see oh yeah, I feel the same way, you guys feel the same way, so okay, I'm in it. So.
And I'm not doing it because I hate the sport. I love this. I love the sport. I love sports. It's just because I don't think it's right that they should be charging so much money. It's not right. Like I said, I understand the playoff tickets, which are a little bit more hard to get. Those are going to be priced a little bit more. Championship games are going to be priced a little bit more. I get that. That's fine because they are a harder ticket to get. And you're always going to have scalpers. That's always going to be the case. But for regular season games, especially for baseball is 162 games. There's no reason that I should be spending for a family of four should not be spending $1,000 a game to for concessions and the tickets. It's just that's not right.
Yeah, I remember the last time, or one of the last times, I went to a Dodger game. I paid $22 for my ticket.
Yeah, well, that's been a long ass time ago. I can guarantee that.
And I mean, and it wasn't even that long ago because I didn't go when I was a kid. Because my parents, they weren't really into sports, so
Trust me,
I wasn't into sports.
That was probably the era when
I was still a young man. I was maybe 3 or 4 years removed from high school.
So that would have been what, 2009?
5 or 6.
5 or 6?
Yeah.
So yeah, and not long after that, because I started buying season tickets in 2010, and I had them for 3 years, and just kind of right as they were starting to get good, and then they jacked the price a bunch.
You know why it might have been 22? Because probably the group discount. It's my church one.
Oh, that's also, yeah. I did that too.
Okay, so one of the very last times I think. Okay, the last time I think it was around $40 for a ticket. And that was kind of mid upper seats.
And I actually because at the time I could afford it. I actually bought all the tickets for the church. I was like, don't worry about it. It's on me.
Oh yeah. You could have done that in the past.
I did have the capability of doing that, and I did. And they're like, really? No, we should pay you. It's like, how about this? You just buy me a couple of hot dogs or something like that, and we'll call it even. It's like, are you sure? Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah, but now I worry about it.
Yeah, now it's like I can't even afford my ticket. It's much less concessions. Are you fucking kidding me? God. You know, like we're
Gouging you,
certain
they're
games.
gouging you.
Yeah, certain games like a top deck for like the Dodger game are like $50. It's like that ticket used to be 10. Like that's just insane.
Right. Well, I mean, if you don't have anything else on this
No,
topic, well, then we
this
can
ended
also.
up being a little bit longer than I expected, but yeah,
Yeah, me
it's
too. But it happens. Which we'll get into which kind of does go into the idea of inflation going into the next topic, and that is the idea of like false scarcity, but particularly through the lens of this egg shortage thing.
yeah.
Um,
Why don't you talk? Why don't you open this up with that, and I'll be right back.
okay. Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but if you've noticed the recent hike in the price of eggs, because I do, because I have my mobile shower ministry, and I make breakfast, uh, and so I'm buying eggs a lot, or at least I was, because I would go to like Smart and Final, and a box of 150 eggs used to be like $24 around that range. But within the past year or so, the price of eggs has about quadrupled, actually. And that a box 100 box of 150 eggs that used to go for about $24 is now about $80. At the highest, I think it even approached. It got up to as high, or at least for that box of eggs, 150 eggs at Smart and Final went for almost $90. Um, and it has come down some, but not great. Uh, it's dropped down to about $80 for a box of 150 eggs. And there are varying factors or rationales that you could make to excuse the price increase. Some of them being supply chain issues, COVID, because of the shutdowns. It's messed up with like the distribution and like the supply chains, and also recently there was uh, uh, an outbreak of avian flu, so producers had to cull their flocks. I don't know why they would have to. Why can't they just give them a vaccine?
Well, and even in like previous like quote unquote bird flus or avian flus, it never stopped the egg production. Like it just so like
Right.
now like, this just
Right,
happened.
because allegedly there was an outbreak of avian flu last year, but it didn't increase the price of eggs.
No,
Or
and eggs are one of those like one of those commodities that are it's actually really inexpensive. Like you can get like a carton of like 20 eggs for like $5. It's really inexpensive, and it's really a good source of protein. I make hard boiled eggs all the time. Especially with now that I eat a lot of Korean food, based off with my wife making it, we use so many eggs. Like it's just like that's something that we constantly have. And
yeah, exactly. In my opener, I was telling people how, um, because of the mobile shower, I'm making breakfast a lot, and I bought eggs all the time, and
right,
a box of 150 eggs was about like $24.
which is
But
a great fucking deal.
yeah, exactly. But now, like, it's gone up to about like $80 for 150 eggs.
Yeah, and this is, I think it's another one of those things where you have another through the government is involved in this in some way. Maybe they aren't like it's not like how they are paying like farmers to like directly burn their crops, which we've talked about in the past, which is one of the most insane things I've ever heard of. You are literally paying people to waste food. And
Right,
you
exactly.
claim that people are going hungry and all this stuff, and like, yet you are paying farmers to burn their crops and burn food.
Or
Eh,
like, or to keep their land or keep their lands fallow, like purposely,
yeah,
not just for rotational purposes, but just like it's ready, it's good, it's ready to go, it's been prepared for for the next crop, but it's like no, you keep it fallow.
yeah. That to me is like when I started really looking into that. I was like, what? It's literally one of the most insane things I've ever heard of. It's like we have people that don't have food in this country, yet you are paying farmers to either not grow or burn their shit to the ground.
Hmm.
What? And this feels kind of like the same thing. Like, although maybe like they aren't like telling them to like hawk the eggs at like someone's door, like at Halloween, but
Hmm.
like, yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
uh,
think about what a sign of wealth it was for back in the day when even when you and I were kids, like we were in such abundance that we could literally waste eggs by chucking it at people's houses. That and toilet paper.
yeah. Oh God, the I used to be pretty good at her at that stuff,
Hurling the
but
teepee.
yeah, I could do the whole TP roll pretty well. I don't know if I have the same arm for it anymore, but the the crazy thing about this is now this isn't the government necessarily paying you know um chicken farmers to like kill their chickens or like not sell their eggs or whatever, just let them go to waste. This is something I think more nefarious, where it looks like the they because of like whatever regulations or taxes that they are implementing on so many other things, the supermarkets they are charging like a larger price, uh yet paying the farmers less, or they're like either the same or less.
Right. Yeah, they're
And it's like,
the stores are increasing the prices, yet they're not passing that income on to the so it's like a
right.
reverse thing. It's not the farmer saying, "Oh, it costs more to produce these eggs, so we have to charge more for the eggs," which then transfers on to the customer. No, 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 no. It's the
Nothing's
store.
changed except
It's yeah.
like
It's like the middleman demanding more money. You
because
know.
the overhead for them unfortunately has gone up because of all these other things that have gone wrong, because of various things that the government has flubbed
Right,
big
yeah, because like
fucking
labor
surprise there.
shortage, because like they don't have enough people to stock shelves or whatever. So there's not enough people to like even if they had like the inventory, there's no way that's the that's what was it? Even if they had like the inventory, there's not enough people to get it out onto the shelves.
Because the government created
Right, because they incentivize the
a
workers not to work.
yeah, and they've also like, oh well, I can't work because it's too dangerous for me, I'll die.
Hmm.
They've created this like kind of like mass fear
Right,
to
and they
and they
pump
pay
them
people not to work.
right. And they
And
pumped them full so much so full of like funny money. They're like, oh, well, I can get money for doing nothing, so why would I go back to work?
so yeah, this is unfortunately, yeah, it is kind of a COVID crisis, that it's this unintended consequence that our powers that be, who have never lived in the real world because they've always worked for the government for like the last 60 years. um, I just heard that like Dianne Feinstein is finally gonna fucking step down after like she's been our senator for our
Yeah,
entire fucking
she's
life.
in her, what is she, late 80s, I believe, like maybe even
Oh,
90s.
it's fun. You know, I got a good chuckle. You know, this weekend is like because our friend Daniel and Jason, you know, they're a little bit more left leaning than you or I.
Hmm.
But I'm like, and I'm always kind of talking trash about like our government officials. Like, listen, if I have to change your fucking diapers, I don't think you should be leading our country. It's like, and that's like they got a
Right,
good chuckle.
and interestingly
Like
enough, that goes both ways. That goes both ways.
that
Because you
goes
know,
both ways. I'm just saying, it's like I'm sorry, you shouldn't be 90 years old and been in government for your like for 80 of those years. Uh, like it's just no, like when if you were alive during the taking of the Alamo, like I think maybe you shouldn't be in government anymore. Okay,
right, as Joe Biden purports to be.
yeah, it's like good God, it's like you're
Yeah,
too
I mean, but
old.
yeah, but you know, thinking a little outside of the box here, but like you have to look at someone like Dianne Feinstein or Nancy Pelosi, who's like who's in her 80s,
I like step down too. God,
but like like how many people are those politicians you know owe to? How many favors do those politicians owe that they can't even step down from politics, to step down from being a
exactly.
representative, and and retire and be grandparents, or or whatever, or go back to their own business, own lives prior to being politicians. Like, yeah,
And it's
how
the
many
same thing
favors
too.
do they owe?
Same thing with guys like Mitch McConnell. Why is that guy
Yeah,
still in
same,
politics?
dude. Cocaine Mitch, dude. I mean, in a different light, he sounds like the coolest guy. Has a boat, does cocaine, fucks bitches. How
Yeah,
that kind of makes him sound awesome. If he wasn't such
yeah,
a fucking
exactly.
shill.
But yeah, it's like just God, right off into the fucking sunset. Just go away. It let
Right? Yeah, and you wonder why, like the meat, and you wonder why there's like Arrested Development, like I keep saying like, but take for example, Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. She's a 30-year-old bartender, and like she became a congressman, and now but she still acts like a fucking child, saying like, oh, we need reparations, or we need that social justice, and yada yada yada. Like electric cars are the way of the future, even though they produce way more greenhouse gases. It's like, I mean, ultimately she's bought off too, and she is in the pocket of the
she was bought off
she's in the
before she
pocket she's in the pocket
politician.
of the same people that had Nancy and Dianne Feinstein in
She's
their pockets.
she is an actress that is delivering lines. She
Right,
doesn't
right.
have an
But
she
also it's
doesn't
like
have
but
a thought.
yeah, but to a broader idea, it's just like you know, me and you, like people our age, we're the ones who are supposed to be in charge. But can you name me
Yeah,
one? What can you name me one politician who's our age?
God forbid.
Like
Good
and
God.
also in a position of power.
No.
Yeah, of course. Like not the House Speaker, not a, not a Secretary of State. Definitely not a president. Um,
The younger ones are like our parents' age, maybe.
right? Exactly.
Maybe a little bit
The
younger than that.
absolute youngest.
Like there's people that are in like their 40s and 50s that are kind of doing things, which is somewhat younger, but like that's it. Yeah, it should be like more of our generation running things right now. But we have people that have held on to power for so fucking long. And this is both sides, by the way. Like this isn't
Yeah, we're not just blaming Democrats. This is also Republicans.
like, and it's awful. Like just no.
right? I mean, because yeah, like Mitt Romney, he's in his like 60s or so.
It was I mean, if you remember, like back in like when Reagan was becoming president, and you know he was like 69 at the time,
Mm-hmm.
which was considered, he was like, they were making fun of him because like, you're an ancient like old
Yeah,
fart,
you're a
like,
relic.
yeah. And like yeah, I mean, he flipped the script on it. It's like, I was like, he won't make like age an issue. It's like, I want about like how like inexperienced my opponent is because he's so young.
Mm-hmm.
But like, even that, like that consider that's like a spring chicken compared to like what we're getting now.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's like, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna vote for Biden for like a lot of reasons, but that's also the reason why I wouldn't vote for Trump now. Like, he's too old.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Yeah, I
too
mean,
old.
let alone that he's 2024 Trump is not going to be the same as 2016 Trump.
Mm, no way. It's sorry. You're too old.
Yeah, you're
Now,
too old.
if it was Trump versus Biden, I've already said that. Well, I'm not voting for Biden. Like,
Right? Yeah. I mean, if it
that's
came
not
down to it, I might not even vote for the
that
president.
that's also a possibility too. I haven't decided on that yet, um, but yeah,
I
it got.
mean, yeah, yeah. Sorry, cut you off there.
But no, it's just like, this is, like this scarcity crisis. It's all fabricated. This, the eggs are just like another thing. Like, God forbid I don't go to Costco at like right as they open. Like, I won't get eggs. I have to go like right at 10 a.m. as they open the fucking doors. It's just so I can get like 2 cartons of eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, it's everything has gone up in price because, oh well, we really have this problem. It's a lot of it, I think, has to do like, um, they want you to drive the electric cars. They want you to have the vegan meat, fake meat. They don't want you to do like this or that. So we're gonna just, instead of just having that alternative and giving some incentives to, um, having those things, they're just gonna like harm. They're gonna destroy like certain industries so that like eventually, and destroy the economy, and then we're just gonna rebuild off of that. It's like a rebuild off the rubble that they create. It's like, no, that's you're gonna destroy the country at that point. Like, it's just not. It's never gonna recover.
Right.
And for people who have like, they've never lived in the real world their entire life. um they've been in government for more like for their entire lives. They don't That's all they know, and they don't care. Like, it's just like, oh, I've made my millions of dollars off of selling secrets to other countries, and handing out favors, and
Mm-hmm.
the taxpayers have just been paying for like everything in my life. I don't what's a who knows what a loaf of bread costs anymore. Ha ha ha. It's like, and it's a big fucking joke to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the rest of us, suffer through all this stuff. um but yeah, it's just, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But like I said, yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that this is happening. It's just, it's gonna happen with everything. Like, it happened with toilet paper 3 years ago. It happened with, now it's happening with eggs. And we even before like all this, all the COVID crap happened from like 3 years ago. We were talking about like, wait, you're telling me that they pay farmers to burn crops? Like, yet we supposedly have people that are hungry in this country, and we could give them like fresh fruits and vegetables that, like, we just give them away. Like, if, okay, fine, you're paying me not to sell them. That's fine. I don't mind
Right.
that.
Yeah, and like the farmers is still the farmer's still getting his money. But there was a video that I saw of this guy, this farmer who had an onion shipment, but because everything was locked down or whatever, like he literally dumped his entire like this like huge like like the those trucks with like the open air like container thing for like use like dirt or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was like that truck, and he had just dumped out all of the onions that were like that filled that truck, the carrying part. Like it was like a field. It was like all like these onions just on the ground. It's like, oh, the government just told me to dump them.
And if like that's why I'm telling you, the government doesn't care about you. If they really did, like if they did care about, like, oh, the homeless crisis, the hungry crisis, okay, we're gonna pay you not to put them on the market. We're gonna take those off your hands, and we're gonna pass those on to like a homeless shelter. We're gonna pass those on to like a food bank. We're gonna pass those on to like charities that kind of deal with that stuff, so that they can make food for so like quality fresh food for the people that are coming into, like, that need help.
Right.
Wouldn't that be a much better way? Like, it's like you're already spending the money, but you're paying them to waste the food, not like actually use it for something.
Right.
There's no like the just based off of like what we produce in California, the world should not be hungry.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
that's what's crazy. I just it blows my mind that we have people that do this shit. Like, it's just to me, it's evil. It's really an evil act. No, just burn it.
Mhm.
Just burn it. It just, I mean, God, if this happened back like in like Joseph's time back in Egypt, like, it's like instead of like
I know
saving,
during like a 7-year famine, it's like
the
if
world would have died.
Joseph saw this, like why are you burning your food?
The world would have died.
Yeah.
The known world at the time would have died.
Right. The known world.
My God.
This is completely asinine.
This is it's just at some point, God's gonna say, okay, well, fine. Well, if you're just gonna burn your stuff, I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna stop allowing stuff to grow, and then everyone's just gonna die. It's like
There
that's
you
what's
go.
gonna happen.
Yeah, then we'll have no choice but to eat the
Now,
crops.
I don't know if this happened before this, but this was definitely, this is an FDR uh, problem. Like, he started because he started manipulating with like a lot of price fixing.
Mm-hmm.
This is the stuff that was happening. So this has been going on. I mean, this has been happening since, hell, before our grandparents' time. But good God, just and like the eggs, it's just like that. We saw like that one farmer who was like, yeah, like, I have eggs ready to go. There's no problem with them. And like, yeah, it's the avian flu is not like, they're not like cracking down, like telling us to kill our chickens and we can't produce eggs or whatever. They're just the supermarkets are charging like an exorbitant rate and saying that they're not going to be buying our eggs. It's just that they're,
Yeah.
and whatever
Well,
reason,
the video that we were citing, yeah, 'cause I found this on Instagram and I shared it with Robert. But yeah, the guy was saying like how the stores they're jacking up the prices, but they're still paying or trying to pay for like the eggs, at the same price. So it's like what
like, no.
those because again, it's not the farmers who are saying, oh, because of avian. Okay, we're reconnected. Robert, you there? Nope. 1 second. You with me, Rob? Okay. Shoot, now I have to open up a new window. Yeah, it was my end. My internet cut out real fast, but I was able to save it. Hold on. But no one can hear you right now because yeah, I have to create a new screen for you. Say something?
Say something.
Okay, we're back.
We're back. All right.
We're back. But yeah, the scarcity thing, total bullshit.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I know people. Oh, it's because of this or that, and whatever. If you want to believe that, I'm not going to stop you, but you're wrong.
You're wrong. You're wrong. You couldn't be more wrong.
Well, let's
But yeah,
unless something else, should we dive into the movie?
Yeah, no, I got nothing else on the eggs thing.
All right,
So yeah, let's get into the movie review, and we can wrap things up. Okay, let me hit everyone with the synopsis, and we'll get going. All right. Yes, and to remind everyone, tonight the movie review is Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? Again, starring Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn with Sidney Poitier and Katharine Hepburn's niece.
Yep.
Catherine Houghton.
Yeah.
Okay, when Joanna Drayton, a free-thinking white woman, and a black doctor, John Prentice, become engaged, they travel to San Francisco to meet her parents. Matt Drayton and his wife, Christina, are wealthy liberals who must confront the latent racism the coming marriage arouses. Also attending the Drayton's dinner are Prentice's parents, who vehemently disapprove of the relationship. Again, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner?
I disagree with the synopsis.
You disagree with the synopsis?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. This movie was released December 12th, 1967. Directed by Stanley Kramer. Budget was $4 million. And actually, dude, it's gangbusters. $56.7 million at the box office.
Oh yeah, it was a huge hit. And this so this year, remember when we did our year the 1939 theme, where we did all the best pictures from 1939, because that was a big year in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. This also is a big year in Hollywood because there's a big shift that is going on in Hollywood. The old studio system is failing, or it was going away, and it was kind of verging into like the new Hollywood. And this is actually one of the last. This is kind of like a mixture of. This movie itself is like a mixture of old and new Hollywood. And there was a lot of the movies that were up for Best Picture this year, outside of like one. Because Dr. Dolittle should not have been up for Best Picture. By the way, it was.
Oh, really? Dr. Dolittle was up for Best Picture.
It's like and because Cool Hand Luke also came out this year, that should have been in that category, but they put in Dr. Dolittle. So it's just which is
accounting for taste, I guess.
Which is a perfectly fine movie, but it's not like it's not Best Picture like compared to the movies that like came out. Like, no. But obviously,
I'm sorry. Continue.
No, so I'm saying like but this is one of those movies that was up for Best Picture. It did win some awards. It was but it was a tough year when it came to like the awards, the Academy Awards. But yeah, like I was saying, I disagree with the premise already.
Okay. Oh yeah, yeah.
What
Okay. So
exactly?
what exactly do you disagree with? Well, at least the
The
synopsis and also the premise.
I don't agree with the latent racism. Both um both Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn's character, the Draydens,
Mm-hmm.
Christina and Matt,
Matt. Mm-hmm.
they have no problem with uh, with Dr. Prentice. Like as far as like they don't care that he's black. The problem is, and I think it's very normal. Like, are they a little shocked? Sure, because she had never. I don't think she had brought home like a.
A
I don't
gentleman
think she had
caller.
date. I don't think she has dated a black man um, and like she was. We don't exactly know what the hell she was doing in Hawaii by her,
Right.
with by herself or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden she fell in love with this doctor. Oh, he's black. And it's like, and the thing is, it wasn't like, oh, he's a black man. It's like, no, I fell in love with this guy and I want to get married to him. It's like that's the shocking thing. You okay? Great. You met a guy. He's black. We don't care about that. That's fine. But then like you're marrying him. Like you don't know him. Like you met him for like a week and now you're telling us at the last second you're going to get married to this guy, and if we don't approve tonight you're gonna like
And
like
cut us out of your lives.
yeah, that's where the hesitancy comes from. um I don't like I said, and I understand this movie is from 1967. It was a big year as far as like even interracial marriage was still kind of like
Right.
illegal in
Yeah. Which
some
they do
like
address in
countries.
the movie where they talk
I
about like
yeah,
how
I
they're breaking the law in like 38 states or whatever.
Yeah, right. And it doesn't, and like I said, even like if it wasn't there, it doesn't, even if the law changes, that doesn't change people's minds. I totally get that. I understand that. Like that's not the I don't have a problem with that because that is true.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, I'm pretty sure there's people that hate that like I'm married to an Asian woman. So and I guarantee that there's Asians that hate that I'm married to an Asian woman. That I'm a white guy. Um,
Yes, I mean, but that's more of like in actually in Asia kind of thing, because like this whole idea like, oh, Asian people love when their children get with white people so they can have like beautiful happy babies. That's more of an America thing. That's not
That's not an
like
Asian thing.
that's not
I
an Asian, that's not a Japanese thing. That's not a Korean thing. That's not a China thing.
yeah, I expect the majority of my wife's family to fucking hate the shit out of me. That's fine. I already know that that's gonna happen, and I'm not. It's not gonna be like, oh, how could they? It's like that's just how they are.
That's just how it is.
That's just how it is. No big fucking deal.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean,
But
every
like,
every every parent wants to be, not just every parent, but like you know, again, it's this modern idea of diversity. And again, it's diversity of skin color. That's all it is. And they think that's like somehow like beautiful and strong and whatever. Like, oh, like the strongest things in nature are hybrids. Like, yeah, but like people, like we're very suspicious of people that don't look like each other, and that's perfectly reasonable thing to have. It's like I look like my cousin looks like me, and my cousin looks like that, and then this other guy, and like within like let's just talk, like say in Korea. It's like, yeah, I look like my cousin looks like me, my cousin looks like this guy, my cousin looks like that guy. I know who those people are. I know that they'll speak the same language. But if like someone else comes in, like let's say like, yeah, someone from Kenya comes in, it's like that guy's different. Like that's someone like I can't trust right away. Not that I can never trust him, but it's someone that who has to gain my trust.
well, and here's the thing about the movie is like you have this stranger that like is coming in your house who like it's like the him being a black doctor like that doesn't faze Matt Drayton at all. He's like, oh, cool, you sound like a very you
Right,
have a
exactly.
very
Well,
interesting.
if you rewatch that scene of when Matt Drayton comes in, he's perfectly welcoming to to Sidney Poitier's character. He's like, oh yeah, oh hi doctor, yeah, yeah, great. So oh you're staying. He's like, oh there's nothing wrong with my
Oh,
daughter. No.
where do you practice?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
I
He's
don't.
like,
And it's
yeah,
like,
he's
oh,
very
like,
personable. He's asking questions to find out about a doctor, and then it's not until he puts two and two together that this guy is, you know, probably boning my daughter. That's when it's like,
and he
that's
acts like the thing is like he's not acting in a racist way. He's acting like a dad. You have like this strange guy that you've never met before who is in love with your daughter, or and like you don't know what's been going on between them for like the past week. It's all new, and you get this spiel from your daughter about like what's going to be happening, and it's like first of all the way that Joey and Dr.
John.
Prentice act is not cool. Not cool. Um, it's, especially in the fact, like, well, the daughter, it's one thing. Like, that's your flesh and blood. Like, they're gonna do stupid shit, and she is as naive as possible. Which, but for that time, like, the fact that like she clearly does not have a racist bone in her body. Like, she's like, I don't
Yeah.
care that the fact that he's black doesn't even like enter into her brain, and she
Right,
doesn't really think about
which
like
is a
the
credit to Christina and Matt's raising her.
bingo and that's great. And I think I think that it is the message that the director is trying to put out. The Where I actually have a huge problem with is you have Dr. Prentice, who they met for like 10 minutes, comes in and like gives both of Christina and Matt this ultimatum. It's like, who the fuck are you? Yeah, who the fuck are you to give out ultimatums that like if I don't like approve of this marriage without any sort of
Without
um,
reservation.
reservations, and that you're gonna break my daughter's heart and like just leave us with the rebel.
Oh
Fuck
right, yeah,
you,
because
man.
even though it's as fucked up as it is, that him coming to them said like, "Hey, we want your blessing, but if you don't have it, we're gonna cut your life out." But then going to them on the side and be like, "Hey, if you don't approve of this, then I'm not even gonna go through with the wedding." And then yeah, which you're then gonna subject, you know, yeah, which I'm then gonna subject your daughter to heartbreak.
And
Because
you're gonna
yeah,
be
because
left with the
even
full
though like it's
hand.
not, yeah, because it's like, and he's like, even though I'm not saying that I don't love her, I'm just not gonna marry her, and I'm gonna, like how you were saying, I'm just gonna leave you with the aftermath of
and
me just pulling out.
and you're creating a division within the family then too, because
Mm.
you think that like Joey's gonna forgive her parents for that. No.
Right, right, because they're gonna say like, oh, like you chased them away, and like, she'll probably be like really emotional and just like hurl like accusations like, oh, you chased him away, you don't like him because he's black, and yada yada yada, and she probably won't give him the time to like explain themselves and like let her know that, oh, John said that if we didn't you know or if we're not okay with it, then he was gonna dump you.
Yeah. And to me, like that, like I said, this is not like this is not a knock on the movie, like because I think the movie's fantastic.
Mhm.
This is just more of like a critique of the characters, and I think this is a hidden problem in the movie that obviously gets overshadowed by the race issue that was being dealt with in 1967.
Mhm.
But now, yes, maybe am I looking at it with a more modern lens? Sure, but I think like even back in 1967, like had Sidney had it not been a black guy, had it been a white guy, and like he just like I think that would have been a huge problem. Like, who are you to give a fucking ultimatum? Like at this like my young daughter is marrying this older guy. Let's say like the age difference was the same. Like he's a 37-year-old white guy who, yeah, sure, he ends up being
Yeah,
like this
he still has
famous
all the
doctor or
credentials.
whatever.
Yeah, he has all the same credentials and
And
also the same tragic
you're telling me that
backstory.
like if I don't approve,
Oh yeah, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
like
I don't
equaling
think
everything
that I
out.
still would have been like pissed off. It's like, yeah, exactly, and it's just I just think it's not cool. But like I said, outside of that, like I do like the characters. I think the Draytons are very they're a fun couple.
Mm-hmm.
The Monsignor Ryan, he's great.
I love that guy.
I
He's
like Sidney
hilarious.
Poitier's character. Like I love how those rare play more of this like kind of goofy, fun stuff.
Lighthearted.
Because he's always kind of playing like this like kind of hard edged guy.
Right.
Here he gets to play this like really sweet, fun, goofy guy, and I love how all of his jokes just fall flat. Like every single joke that he tries to tell,
Mm-hmm.
no one laughs at his jokes.
Right.
The other, speaking of Sidney Poitier, like the one that people received him,
Mm-hmm.
uh, all the black actors today should be like bowing at his fucking feet because he broke through so many of those like barriers.
Mm-hmm.
Even like when I was doing watching like Shaft and doing like listening to some interviews with Richard Roundtree who played Shaft.
Right.
He was saying like the reason like I was even able to get this role is because of like what Sidney Poitier did. And back like when I was coming up as an actor, I look at like because the question was asked like about like black actors and
Okay. Alright, yeah, just having some internet problems on my end. All right. Okay. Yeah, no, they're screwing us. They are. They really are. Um, Hold on, your window is frozen on this end. I think I'm gonna try. I'm gonna open up a new one for you. I can hear you, but the audience can't hear you. Yeah, that's just swell. Yeah. All right, now the audience can see you and hear you.
oh, they can see and hear me. Oh, great.
Great. That's just great. Anyways, continue. Are you done with your point?
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that like Sidney Poitier deserves so much more credit for the roles that he has played, and I think he's a fantastic actor, and he owes nothing to anybody. It's like a lot of the black audience like, oh, you didn't do enough. He's not like he's not doing this or that, and it's like you don't have a fucking career without this guy. Okay, there's no Denzel Washington. There's no Spike Lee. There's none of these people without him.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And like something like this movie is a big deal. Like it is a film that did it. There of course there's like the interracial element. Like there is that part of it. But like when like I said, why I disagree with the premise? Like I really don't see like are they a little bit more? Yeah, they're liberals, but like in a sense like Matt and Christina, they're acting like parents. Like they're just, yeah, I'm a little shocked, obviously, because like, out of nowhere, we're meeting this guy that our daughter fell in love with, but it, and like, oh, we're a little shocked that like he's not a white guy, that he's black,
Mm-hmm.
but that's what we raised our daughter to be. Like, that's and they made it seem like that was Matt's concern, but that was not Matt's concern. He's just being a dad.
Mm-hmm.
There's he's not like I don't think he gives two damns about him being black.
Right. I mean, this isn't a perfect example, but years later, of course, in the '90s, they had, there's a movie, the movie with Steve Martin, The Father of the Bride, which is a remake, of course, but this is a more
Of
comedic.
a Spencer Tracy movie.
Another Spencer Tracy movie, exactly. But even in that, like, his daughter comes back from a trip, and she just announces to everybody that she's gonna get married. Like, and they never met the guy, and he has the most appropriate of all appropriate responses. It's like, this is crazy. You're not getting married to this guy. I don't even know him. And like, and throughout the entire like, even after he meets him, he still has suspicions. Because
Yeah.
again, he just met this guy. It's not as though like it was his daughter's like high school sweetheart. Like, this is literally a stranger.
Like, this would be like a different story of like, hey, listen, I met this guy in Hawaii. I really like him. I would love for you to meet him. And like, I'm kind of, like, and that's what this movie would have been, is like, them meeting this person. Like, if this was like real life, let's say, right? Because if that was the case, if this is like more real life, we wouldn't have a movie. It would just be like a very nonchalant thing.
Right.
But let's say the scenario was that you met this guy in Hawaii, and I want to spend more time with him, and I like him a lot, but I would love for you to meet him so that you know who I'm spending time with. I think that would have been her parents would have been totally fine with that. Like, I don't think that they would have had it. They was like, oh, okay, like, yeah, and obviously he's probably gonna still do the same thing, like have him checked out, because like, who is this person that's with my daughter? And hell, if I had,
and luckily, he was this person of great repute and esteemed so well within his profession.
Yeah,
because if it was just some guy who was just some construction guy, there'd be no way he could like vet him as easily.
Had I been like Matt and had his resources, oh, for sure, I'm having this guy checked out. Like, is he really who he says he is, and all that stuff? It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's not a race thing. It's just a dad thing.
Well, and here's the thing though. Like, that was kind of the point of the movie. They were trying, like, because they were trying to take away all of like the potential pitfalls of like, oh, well, he can't take care of, like, he is this person, like, he, like the fact, like, maybe he doesn't have that much, he doesn't have any money. They were trying to take away everything that could possibly like be taken care of, and like making it like the sole focus that like he's a black guy. That's
Right.
kind of like the point of the movie is.
Right. Yeah, because it'd be a complete different movie if she brought home like Tyrone.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they're not. We're not bringing home like a degenerate, and he's actually, and he Dr. Prentice is a guy that has conservative values. Like, he's a guy that like he didn't want to sleep with Joey like right away, because it's like, well, that's just not how I do things. And he was a very kind person, and he is much more experienced in the world. Obviously, he's been married before. He had a son and daughter. He had a son and a wife who were unfortunately killed in a horrific way. I don't think he had met. Obviously, he hadn't met anybody or thought about meeting anybody since then. It'd been almost 10 years, and Joey pops into his life, and I think this is the first time he's felt some sort of passion. And but he's also grown up in a world. He's been touring around Europe and Africa, through being a doctor, doing something really important. But like, kind of like our character, Sidney Poitier's character in Paris Blues, he did it because he's probably avoiding a lot of like the racist bullshit that he had to deal with growing up. It's like he went. Our character in Paris Blues, he went to France because like no one treats it. I'm just a man here. I'm not a black man.
No, like, well, he is a black man, but he's not a boy.
Exactly. And that's kind of like why I think he's been touring around Europe and all these other places, because I think he's avoiding that too, understandably. But then he meets Joey, and it's like, your family doesn't care that I'm black. I was like, I gotta meet these people. You know, it's
Mhm.
like, um, and like I said, even though like I make a big deal out of like what Joey and him do, it's just not right. It's not
Mhm.
cool. You don't throw that, you don't thrust that upon your potential in-laws, and hell, he does it to his own parents too, which is not right either. I think it's kind of fucked up what he did to his parents too. Um, and God, all these like last minute
Well,
like,
I mean, is it equivalent to his parents? Because all he was, he like I think, because he said he was gonna, write his dad and let him know like what was up, and so
well, I think he was gonna like, I think
I don't think
had
it's equal. I mean, I think
no, it's not.
like
It's not equal. I will say this: he was probably gonna just say like, "Oh, I got married to this person. It turns out she's white," and like it would have been like, that's just how it is.
mhm,
And they probably would have had like a really shocked reaction.
mhm,
But you have to remember, he's almost 40 years old.
yeah,
So like, what are they gonna do? Where Joey
right,
is like maybe like just out of college,
yeah,
maybe.
she's 23, I believe.
Yeah, it's so yeah, it like for her, like, and she still lives at home,
Mhm,
and like she's still very much a part of her parents' life.
mhm.
It's and she lives a very sheltered life. It's just
Yeah,
the
I mean, despite her parents raising her to be colorblind, and I know in today's culture that's even more racist because it doesn't acknowledge the lived experience, as it were.
oh
But
god,
but in general, I would say like, yeah, her parents raised her well.
they raised her
Despite
very well.
despite the naivete, which may have come from her more privileged upbringing, being upper class, well,
Yeah,
coming from an upper class, well-to-do sort of parents.
it's like, yeah, let me just buy this like last minute plane ticket to Geneva.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, yeah,
fucking a.
right.
But
Yeah, I
no, it's
think I do agree with your analysis about the characters, not necessarily the
yeah.
movie. I
No,
think the movie is great,
it's
but that speech that Dr. Prentice gives to his father, that resonates with me more. Being first generation of American, and being the son of, or being the child of immigrants,
yeah.
because
I was gonna bring that up. Like obviously you have more experience with that too. But, like it just yeah, it's
right. And then I think broadly speaking, it is applicable to any like working class parent, who busted their ass, for their kid, to give their kid like all the advantages and opportunities in the world so that they can have a better life than them. I think it still applies. But for me, as being a child of immigrants, it also
right.
does hit, and also being from the culture that I am, or that my parents are from. That speech definitely resonates with me more about like, because he was saying like, oh, you did that for, yeah, you did that for me, but like that, it's like
That's what you're supposed to do.
that's what you're supposed to do, and I don't owe you anything, because
Just
this
like
is
I don't. Just like my son doesn't owe me anything.
right for whatever
Have it.
advantages that I'm able to give him because of the advantages that you gave me. So like, yeah, so like I definitely, because yeah, there is a lot of that kind of idea of, or at least the mentality, at least in the experience that I have with my parents. It's like, oh, like I gave, or I've witnessed in friends of mine who are also first generation Americans. But there's like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like, oh, the parents do, bust their ass to give you this life, and then you don't become something even better than us. Like, Um, how dare you? How dare you squander the opportunity, the gift that I gave you? But it's not your life. You gave me this life for for me to live, not for you, or not for you to live, not for you to live vicariously through me. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No, because
that speech was that resonated very much with me.
yeah, I was gonna ask you about that because I figured that would mean a lot more to you than necessarily it does to me.
Hmm.
But I think it does
Yeah,
to a
it
degree.
could broadly apply, for any,
Yeah, but I think more so to you than me.
mm.
But yeah, obviously, I talked a lot about like my thoughts about the movie. How did you feel about it? What do you think about the movie? Like, what did you
Well,
think about it?
this is the first time that I've seen this movie since probably high school. And and I saw it in high school. I saw it in high school, and of course, I think it was for English class, and then we had to write an essay on it. But I didn't know, like, I mean, because we were so heavily indoctrinated into like the idea of color blindness, and so and obviously, um, you know, or not obviously, but we were instructed to view this through the lens of racism, and how like this movie is about racism. But again, like I think
See,
I
nowadays I would enjoy that. Back in school, I'd be like, fuck that.
well, I mean, I think the education. I think we are just we were kind of conditioned to see the movie through. And I don't remember what I wrote for the essay about this movie.
Well, I'm just talking about writing the essay, like not necessarily about like what it should have been about, but
Right, I think we are definitely primed to view it through as though, like, yeah, Matt and Christina were racists. You know,
they're not though.
I know,
That's
I
like
know, I know, but that's
the opposite.
but the time that we were growing up, the time that we were in high school, or within like the government educational system, that is what we were primed to think. And I think I thinking back on it, I think my teacher did do a disservice by kind of like spoon feeding us the idea that it was about racism,
Yeah, it was.
instead of letting us come to whatever conclusion that we were supposed to. Um, but but you pointing that out, that is more about just these kind of like selfish people, really coming to especially and maybe an argument could be made for particularly Joey's character, how like she's so naive and inexperienced that she could just come to her parents like, oh, we're gonna get married, and then if you don't approve of it, then we're just gonna cut you out of our lives.
Yeah, and like I said,
And even
and
like
I
John, and even
back like
John, and even John going, is horrible in that he went along with this, or and then
as an older man
as an older
who
man, he went along with this, but then even then he then did even, I think, a worse thing by going behind Joanna's Joey's back and going to her parents and say, hey, but if you really don't sign off on this marriage, then I'm not even going to marry your daughter.
yeah, it's fucked up.
Yeah. And I think Spencer, Matt, I think dresses it really well in his final, like, breakdown at the end, when he said, like, oh, the only mistake that you made was placing too much importance on what me and Christina think. You know.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like he doesn't care about like the fact like it's like if you two are really in love and you actually care about each other, who gives a damn what we think? It doesn't matter. And that's really the case. Like, I probably would have married my wife regardless of like what my parents or like her parents thought about it. If we truly do, I mean, obviously it makes things a lot harder,
Mm-hmm.
but if you really care about that person and you're willing to like stick it through and like go through all the trials and tribulations, who gives a fuck what other people think about it? uh it certainly helps that like you have like that person's blessing or whatever, and that is important, but in reality it does you don't who gives a damn, as long as you care about one another. I think the other thing that was kind of fucked up too is like Dr. Prentice's mom was saying, it's like, oh, you're just like, you old man, you don't even know what it means. Like, pretty much telling him is like, you're a, a washed up old,
Well, no, it's like, yeah, you just like, you're just so old you forget what it's like to be a young person.
well, like you have like no sexual desire anymore. It's like, fuck, that's who the what? Why would you
Yeah,
say?
that was a
Why would
pretty
you
low.
say
That was
with
a
like
pretty low
a
blow.
fucking stranger?
That was
That's
literally a blow below the belt.
yeah. By the way, like that actress, she's a communist, like
Oh,
a
okay.
literal communist.
Literal communist. Okay.
Yeah. And apparently, I heard like she was behind the scenes. She was a very like angry person. She hated the role that she was playing, and she was very angry the entire time. And it was like a visceral anger.
Mm.
It's like, oh, you're a very unpleasant person. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's so funny because she plays like this soft-spoken,
Exactly. That's
demure character. So
hey,
you
you
have
know
to
what?
admit, she's a great actress. Then she's a great actress.
She's a pro. That's what she
Bro.
is. So I'll give her that. She's a pro.
Yeah.
Because
Has
I
she
thought
been in?
she honestly,
Has she
for her
been in
performance,
any other like noteworthy films? Because she looks very
good.
familiar.
I'm sure she's been a character actor in a bunch of stuff. She
Uh-huh.
does look familiar. I don't like I said it. I nothing comes to mind at the
Mhm.
moment. But in this film, God, she's great. Like she does a
Yeah.
great job. And, to be honest, the whole movie is really well cast.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you also have the the black housekeeper Tilly.
Mm-hmm.
She's great too. Like I liked her.
Yeah.
Like and she was very protective of Joey because she's the one that really raised her. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I'm not gonna you're kind of come in here, swaddling around thinking you're like like the the you're all that. It's like you don't I don't trust you. I don't
Yeah,
like you.
and even Tilly, hurled the N word around. He's like, yo, you just some uppity nigga.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, I didn't expect that at all. But it's funny because I remember watching this movie probably back like when I was 9 or 10. Like I said, my grandfather had a pretty extensive collection of like VHS tapes and movies. So I knew I had watched this like a long time ago, and even back then I'm like, yeah, that's not. I didn't see like the racist element into it. It was just it made kid like I said. I wasn't spoon fed. I just let the movie speak for itself,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like yeah, like what I didn't care that the guy was black. Like who? Okay, who cares? My aunt married a black man. It wasn't a big deal for me. My cousin's
Mm-hmm.
black. Um, and so it's just more of like the don't just thrust it on this like because this is big information. You're a 23-year-old that fell in love with a 37-year-old. And yeah, there obviously like the race part is a big deal because I don't want to see my daughter in danger. Like can Dr. Prentice protect my daughter from some of the hatred that she's going to receive? Maybe like a lot. I mean, he's gonna when he's there, sure, but like, what about like when she's not there? It's like is what's how is he gonna be able
Yeah,
to
yeah. What
protect?
if like there's a place that it's not particularly safe for Joey, and she has to and what if like yeah, what if they get a home somewhere, and and he's not, and he has to go someplace else, and she's left alone, and like the people aren't particularly receptive to her and Dr. Prentice.
Yeah, exactly.
Is
It's that there's that factor too.
there's some real concerns. There's some real danger to take into account.
Yeah, it's not because Dr. Prentice is a good guy. Like he is who he says he is.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very kind and cordial person. He's worked very hard, even though he works for the WHO.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was waiting for that. I was like, how is he gonna work that in?
He's not having like attack fly, strapping beagles down and having
cutting their
flies
vocal cords,
just to see what would happen.
right?
But no, he's probably actually doing some real work, and it actually seems like what he is attempting to do. That's some like Nobel Peace Prize stuff like that he's doing.
Right.
And so he's a very accomplished. He's very smart. He's very cordial, very kind. But like I said, there are people. It doesn't matter. Like he obviously he's very well off. He's done very well for himself. But yeah, it's still in that era at that time. It's still a tough environment. And Joey, who doesn't know anything, she doesn't know a goddamn thing in the world, and because she's been sheltered in the environment that her parents have provided for her, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
Right, because they raised her right. They raised her right, and they reinforced that you're no better because you're white skin, and a black person is no worse because of their black skin.
Exactly.
There's no difference between them.
Which is the right way. That is completely correct. But at the same time, she doesn't know, like she doesn't understand that there are people that are going to hate their relationship just because.
Right, and even if she even briefly, thought about this, I still think that she's too naive in thinking that they'll just get used to us.
That's never gonna happen. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
There's always gonna be some white person that thinks like, how dare you marry a black man?
Right.
And there's
just as true. Yeah, just as true the opposite way. Just as true the opposite.
And
I mean, we get that with Tilly, confronting Dr. Prentice.
Yeah, and to an extent, John's dad.
Yeah. Oh, and then also, to a slight degree, you have it with what's it? The mom, the mom's like a gallery assistant or whatever.
Hillary.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's another. God, what a bitch.
What a bitch. Yeah, who came just for the mere spectacle of it all.
Gosh, what a fucking bitch. God, I couldn't stand her.
What a Mike Hunt. What a Mike Hunt.
But it's just that's the thing. It's like there's always going to be those people that are going to hate you just because of your skin color. That's just always going to be a reality. Yeah. Hell, it's a real. It doesn't matter where you're at. Like, there's always going to be like Israelis or Arabs that hate Israelis, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And they look the same.
Yeah.
So certain Serbians and Yugoslavians or what there's always going to be hatred there. Like Eastern Europeans all hate each other. Same.
Yes. They all do look the same.
So I mean, God forbid that they had a skin color difference.
Indeed.
But I don't. Yeah. But yeah, overall, like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner is a great film. It's a very important film too. Like, and I'm not. I don't want people to think that we're discounting like the racial element here, because in 1967 that was a huge deal. Like, interracial marriage was at the time still illegal in some places, and the Supreme Court decision to to fix that didn't come until like I think it was like right after the movie like was finished wrapping up. So yeah, it is a big deal. And there's like even today, yeah, there is a small pocket of people who don't like it, that there's interracial marriages going on. There's probably people that hate me for marrying an Asian woman, and Asian people who hate me for marrying a Korean woman. That's fine. I really don't give a damn what those people think. Um, but this is also a very important year in Hollywood. This is, we're starting to the fall of the studio system is coming about. Actually, there's a whole book on this year in Hollywood, about like kind of like this is like the kind of the last gasp of the Hollywood studio system and New Hollywood kind of coming together. This is just a couple years before like Midnight Cowboy and Easy Rider, which really kind of that was like really the start of New Hollywood. And this is this literally is the last movie for Spencer Tracy. He died 2 weeks after the filming wrapped, and they actually had to. He was extremely sick. He hadn't acted in a while, and he was extremely sick. And the director he wanted Hepburn and Spencer Tracy to be in this film. They had been in 8 films together. This was their ninth film together, and he said there would be no movie without these two guys. And it's like, hey, so he could only, for a while he could only film like maybe like a couple hours a day. And it's like, okay, they would do his stuff in the morning, and then they would kind of do the other scenes, without him, throughout the rest of the day. But he did like towards the end of filming, he did do like 8 days straight of like 8 to 10 hours a day, just to try to finish the film. Like he did like a really crazy effort to like kind of, and everyone kind of knew it was like he was really on his last legs. I mean, God, Katharine Hepburn, the entire film is like she's on the verge of like breaking down in tears.
Yeah.
I mean, that last speech by Spencer Tracy. I mean, it's not like that's not the Matt Drayton speech. That is Spencer Tracy talking to Katharine Hepburn.
Right.
That speech, and it's like it's really touching, to be honest, because they were together and they were never married, obviously. But they were together for like 23 years. It's like, good Lord.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, they're common law married by that.
Pretty much. Yeah. Because Spencer Tracy never divorced his wife, because he was a Catholic and he didn't believe in divorce. But like,
right.
Yeah, he essentially, they were married, and he was that last speech. That was not Matt Drayton to Christina in the group. That was Spencer Tracy to Katharine Hepburn. Oh my God! Like it does make you kind of like shed a tear a little bit, because I mean, God, like looking at her, I mean, she's crying.
Yeah.
Over that, because
eyes welling up with tears, and there's just no way that she's not crying.
Yeah. But yeah, this is a fantastic movie. I think everyone should watch this. It's a very important film in the history of Hollywood. It's it's one of those movies that if you're it's just important, and I think everyone should watch it. Great acting, great casting, just a brilliant movie all around.
If there's nothing else, then let's give our ratings, and we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, sounds like a plan to me.
All right. What do you rate this?
Man, I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna give it a 4.5. I don't know if I can give it quite a 5-star, but like 4.5 stars seems pretty up there. It's historically significant. The acting is phenomenal. I love Katharine Hepburn, Spencer Tracy, Sidney Poitier. They are brilliant, and even like all the side characters, I think they were all very well cast. Um, the story is just as much as like it just as an older guy, I'm like, oh my god, like how can you don't thrust this upon your family?
Mm-hmm.
It's just you can't do that. But like I said, that's where the tension of the movie is. Like it's just this.
Right. It's not. Yeah, like you were saying, it's not the race issue. It's
No, it's not.
the surprise. It's the surprise.
Yeah,
And
like
it's the ultimatum essentially.
yeah. You're a guy that you met these people 10 minutes ago, and you're throwing ultimatums around. Go fuck yourself, okay? What that's what I would have said. um, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, that's. But overall, I think this is an important film. This is a good film. I think everyone should watch it. And like you said, this is probably the like fourth or fifth time I've watched this film, and it's still really good. It's great.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm just gonna come in just under you. And I'm gonna give this a 4. Um, yeah, not like the most profound movie I've ever seen, but I think for its time, I think it was very significant.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, again, yeah, and I think I agree with you that the casting was just right, and those anyone other than Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy,
It would not
it
have
wouldn't have
worked.
been the same. It wouldn't have been the
Nope.
same movie. Um, although this is something else, but I think that in the movie Up, the who's that who's that what's the character's name? Well, let me look this up real fast.
Oh God, yeah, you're totally right. Yeah, they are Katharine Hepburn. They look like Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy. You're right.
No, well, not. I mean, hold on. God. Carl Fredrickson.
Yeah,
That he is so Spencer Tracy. I mean, Ellie, the wife, Ellie Fredrickson, maybe, but definitely for sure, like the whoever designed Carl Fredrickson was definitely thinking about uh, Spencer Tracy, and specifically from this movie. Ed Asner. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I think a lot of people would what is it? Might because they know it's Ed Asner, they might automatically assume that his face, looks like Carl Fredrickson. But if when you look at him, that's like, dude, that is so Spencer Tracy. Um, even in his younger iteration, that's totally Spencer Tracy.
I never noticed that until you brought that up. I was like, God, yeah, they do look like. I'm pretty sure that's what the animators were going for.
Yeah, yeah. As opposed in, but when it comes to Ellie, maybe not as obvious. Katharine Hepburn, but possible. I mean, especially if they went with the character design of Spencer Tracy for Carl Fredrickson.
Oh yeah,
But yeah,
but
but
yeah,
yeah,
okay.
I'm coming in just under you at 4. Yeah, still a
Yeah.
good movie, but you know, it's culturally significant. But yeah, I think the whole framing it as a race thing was the wrong move. I mean, especially if that was it wasn't the point of the whole movie, because I think they were trying to go for that racial element, but it
Oh,
was
of
but
course.
it's but yeah, but it wasn't that. It was the fact that their very young daughter came home with a man that they did not know and was slanging ultimatums. That was the issue.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
but again, yeah, again, nothing to knock the significance of when this movie came out. Um, But yeah, just I'm just gonna give it a 4. You know, and I mean, not to knock Spencer Tracy, but yeah, it's like yeah, not to knock his performance because I think like what he put up with, to deliver what we got was amazing. But I think we could, I think we needed more of his character.
yeah. Well, yeah. He's great. He's really great in this film.
Mm-hmm.
Is it his best film? I don't know about that because I've seen some of his other films. He's really great in
Mm-hmm.
those. Um, there's another Spencer Tracy is Spencer Tracy Katharine Hepburn film. I think it's called something like The Heat of the Flame or some. I forget exactly like what it's titled. It's like this like noir thriller, which is
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. It's really good. Um, that might be my favorite film that they did together. But this is I chose this one because I felt like um, it is like one that a lot of people recognize, um,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a significant film in the history of Hollywood. So I was like, okay, I'll go with this one instead of some of the other ones I was considering. So and next week we got a really good one coming up with was it we're gonna do Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be honest, I'm gonna need some help kind of figuring some things out with this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm aware of the title, but I just don't know anything about the movie
And it's starring one of our favorites, Liz Taylor, and her husband, or
at the
two
time.
times, Richard Burton.
Mm, okay. All right, so yeah, something to look forward to, you guys. There you have it. That's our review for Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Robert gives it a 4.5. I give it a 4. Definitely a movie to watch. If you haven't already, put it in the queue.
Oh, sir.
All right, folks, that'll bring us to the end of our stream tonight. I hope you had a good time. I had a good time. I know Rob always has a good time.
Always have a great time.
Yeah, don't forget to check out the library of other content that we have. The Circulator's main podcast, episodes and nocturnal transmissions, of course, and Rob's gaming show, Up by Up Down. Don't forget to follow us on our various social media accounts, Twitter and Letterboxd at PodcastCOJ, and Instagram at Circular Jerks Podcast. And with all that said, we thank you for joining us for tonight. Come back next week and we'll do it all over again. Have a good
Sounds
night.
like a plan to me.